Hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. Should we overreact when we find our partner frog catching in the wee hours of the morning with a friend? Absolutely. They weren't just stargazing out there. I'll tell you that for free. Should we always cry wolf when we suspect our partner is cheating? Let's explore that today on rSpace. Up first, you have the right to remain silent. I received a 911 call that led to me finding out he was cheating. So I worked for several years as a 911 dispatcher for the county in which I live. Brief background, a 911 dispatcher communicates to the police via radio and sends them to the 911 calls that are being received. It may be to a call that you personally take simultaneously, or you may just be reading the notes to the police as another call taker enters the information they're receiving from the caller. A police dispatcher also runs license plates and driver's licenses for the cops when they pull people over, and tell them if anything is expired or if there's a warrant, etc. Every night I went to work. I dispatched for a different township within the county. So, I worked with each different township's police department on a rotating basis, depending on the day. Now that you know how things work, I'll begin. This particular night of work was a Saturday, and I was dispatching for my favorite township, the one in which I personally grew up, know many of the police, and attended high school. I received a 911 call at around 11:30 p.m. about a suspicious vehicle parked in a parking lot of a park, which closes at sundown, so there really shouldn't be any cars there. I dispatched one of my officers to the location, and upon his arrival, he gave me a license plate to run to see whose vehicle it might be. As I'm running the plate, he gets on the radio and says, "The engine's still warm. I'm going to look around." I asked if he wanted backup. He declined. I get the plate info back, and there it is. The car is my, now ex-boyfriend's car. We'll call him Steve. At this point, I was internally panicking. Why is Steve parked in a park in the woods so late on a Saturday night? The officer got back on the radio a few minutes later after I told him the name of the owner of the vehicle and that the car came back up to date with no warrants, etc. and said, "Hold on, I see a male and a female emerging from the woods. I'll give you driver's license numbers in a minute." So then I waited the longest 30 seconds of my life to run this license number and figure out who he is so obviously cheating on me with. I ran the licenses. There was his picture that popped up with his face. And there, on the second license, was his ex-girlfriend, who he had dated just months before he and I met. "No warrants," I tell the cop. "They said they were just frog hunting in the woods. You can disregard status checks," he replies. Clearly that's not a real thing that you just happen to do with your ex at midnight. Now, however badly I wanted to text him in that moment, I didn't. I waited until the next morning and we chatted on the phone and I asked what he got into the night before. He said he was so tired from work that he just passed out early. I said, "Oh really? I heard you got stopped by the police last night." That spineless bastard hung up right then and there, and I never heard from him again. The community has some reactions. Comfortable Step 317 says, "Frog hunting? Yeah, right. He comes out of the woods with a woman at about midnight. Ha! Glad everything worked out for you." Get Her Done Idaho says, "Sorry that happened to you. My wife was a dispatcher for several years. I was a volunteer firefighter EMT for over 20 years in a very rural county. Oh, the stories we could tell." Dry Assistance 9196 says, "As I understand it, frog hunting in the woods at midnight with an ex is a very popular and common activity. He did you a huge favor by hanging up and going full no contact." Gutless. Wow. What a way to find out your partner is cheating. You're strong for not saying anything right away. And frog hunting? Really? Who's going to buy that? He might as well have said that he was catching fireflies or looking at the stars. What an idiot. How did you find out your partner was cheating? Let us know below. Next, don't waste your time with a loser. Go find someone who will masturbate to your photos and your photos alone. Found out boyfriend of 4 years cheated on me in the first year and a half of the relationship. 2 days ago, I, female 23, found out my boyfriend, male 27, of nearly 4 years, was cheating on me in our first year and a half of our relationship. He claims he didn't physically cheat, but he was emotionally invested in another woman, female 27, and would flirt very explicitly with her quite frequently. He didn't confess to this, but I simply found out because he failed to remove these 2-year-old messages from his phone and I happened to come across them randomly the other night. He says he is so sorry and claims nothing has ever happened in our relationship with him cheating, but that. I can't get it out of my head. He said some really crazy things to her, like how he wanted to eat her girly parts and how he was going to masturbate to her pictures. He also had feelings for this girl, and to top it all off, she is not good looking at all. It makes me question his entire being and makes me feel like I can never trust him because he's a liar, and he would have kept lying if I never found out. I love him so much, and our relationship has been good the past 2 years, and he wants to put in the work, as he says. But I'm not sure how to ever look at him the same again. I don't think I can. but I don't want to just end our nearly 4-year relationship over something early on, but there's also a lot that goes into it. What do you guys think? Any advice on how to forgive him and how to get the image of him being sexually aroused by another woman? It makes me sick to my stomach, and it makes me not even want to look at him sometimes. Want some advice? The community's got. Virtual Choir Boy says, everything is different. You sound like you want to stay, but there would be plenty of others that want to leave and never look back. He broke your trust. Trust is like a vase. Once broken, it can never be the same. Sure, you could eventually glue all the pieces back together, but it will always have cracks and always be a little weaker than it was before. Right now, you're trying to figure out how to glue the pieces back together, but I'm saying you might want to take some time to figure out if you want to glue the pieces back together. While you're thinking about it, look up sunk cost fallacy to help you deal with the fact that you've been together for 4 years. Jorda Angs says, leave him. Stop wasting your young years in a man that doesn't respect you. You have nearly 2 to 3 more decades to find someone new on this earth. It'll hurt now, but finding someone who is loyal and faithful will benefit you later on. Someone who actually loves you enough to not cheat. I just feel like that's the bare minimum in a relationship, and he couldn't even do that. Lazy Dude says, don't waste your time with that loser. Imagine kissing your partner after you just ate her girly parts. F that. Just move on. There's no repairing, no trust because there was no trust in the beginning. I think what you have to do is forgive him and move on. Just for your own sake. Don't carry it with you and don't waste another second on him. You know for a fact that he can't be trusted and he won't tell you the truth if you stay. He'll just keep doing the same thing. How can you look at someone who said that to another woman and want to stay with them? Respect yourself enough to leave. Go find yourself someone who will be texting you things like that and mean it. Find someone who's going to rock your world. What do you think? Next, when mommy's away, daddy will play. I just caught my dad cheating on my mom. Not sure what to do. He was never the dad I wanted him to be. Only thing he did was get food on the table. I, 18 male, really disliked him for most of my life until something a therapist told me helped me kind of accept him for who he is. 2 years ago, my mom and dad had an argument and I heard him saying he'll divorce her because he thought she was cheating on him with their friends, which I personally know too, and they're not very honest. I knew my mom wouldn't do that, but I still hated her for what had happened because it traumatized me, and of course, I hated my dad even more since that day. Now, the thing is, years before that argument, when I was around 14, I used to hear my dad talk in a gentle voice to someone on his phone from his bedroom. I always suspected something was up, but after the argument from 2 years ago, had too much on my plate and decided to forget about it. Today, after all the efforts I had put into making our relationship and my view of him better, I hear him talking in that same gentle voice again, saying stuff like, I love you. Can't be my mom because she's at her job. So I realize what's up, and now I'm confused. Usually, I'd have melted after knowing such a thing, but I got thick skin now, and it barely fazed me, hopefully. I'm not sure what to do about it though, because we live in a tough economic situation, and even though my mom's putting most of the bread on the table and my dad barely works at the moment, I am still scared of him leaving us because of the emotional damage to my mom and brother. Anyone faced a similar situation and can tell me what to do? I just want to graduate, make money, and get us the heck out of here, excluding my dad. Asking for advice, here comes the community. OK Fifi78 responds, tell your mom everything you tell us here. She's an adult, let her decide about her husband and her relationship. You just need to be there for her in case she decides to leave. Aggravating Plum 8147 says, just explain what you suspect to your mom. She deserves to know, and then just leave it to her to decide what she wants to do. Comfortable Step 317 says, see if you can get his phone and search for emails, texts, videos, etc. Take screenshots. Sometimes they hide apps. Then I'd have a talk with your mom. I think right now it might just be a lot of speculation. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but sometimes we remember things differently than how they happened. I'm not saying your dad is the best guy in the world either, but maybe the memories are a bit morphed from so long ago. Do you think it's possible that he's talking to your mom on the phone while she's at work? It sounds like both your parents have issues here. Nobody is a saint in this scenario. Would it make you feel better by telling your mom? If so, let her know. If not, maybe it's not worth dying on that hill. Scope it out a bit more and see what you can find. I don't know if it's worth stirring the pot just yet. What do you think? Lastly, can a man and a woman ever just be friends? My first relationship after separating from my cheating ex, and now I'm going to have to dump him. Ex-husband, 28 male, and I, 29 female, married last October. D-Day was this March. We separated then, went low contact, and our annulment was finalized this August. I've been seeing the same guy, 31 male, since May. It started as a hookup, but over time we've gone on dates and trips and grew to care for one another. We're pretty different, so it's been a challenge understanding one another and our communication styles, but overall, it's been great. getting better all the time, best sex of my life, and we have a lot of fun together. Well, this week, he dropped the bomb on me that he plans on going on vacation next year, on a cruise with his best female friend who lives out of state. I am not invited, and neither is her boyfriend. When I asked if he was serious, he doubled down that it would just be the two of them, a best friends trip. Yeah, no. Obvious trauma response aside, I feel so unwanted and disrespected right now. There's no way I'm going to stay in yet another relationship where I'm never the first priority and the boundaries are constantly blurred. I've been there before, always competing for the spot of number one girl in a man's life, begging to be the one he wants to spend time with, pleading for him to consider my feelings as the girlfriend. Never again. I'm just hurt right now and hate that the light that was this relationship during an otherwise crappy year is already imploding. Thanks for letting me vent. The community has some reactions. OK Culture 3935 says, all I can say is thank God for a "my significant other is going away alone with another woman" post that didn't end with "is this okay?" Typical Agency 8984 says, you are making the right decision. Never settle for less. Hugs to you. Gusta Freda says, OP, the first relationship after a divorce is our wake-up call. In our hurt, we often slip right into the same pattern. I quickly learned I had too much patience and was okay with a lot of things I shouldn't be. My first long-term boyfriend matched my best friend on Tinder, and she told me. She told me before she swiped him and swiped him on my request. He said it didn't mean anything, it was just out of boredom. I'm happy that happened because looking back he was talking to his ex, wanted to be friends with her. The Tinder thing was so out of whack I walked away. It made me see I need changing, and I'm sure you will see he wasn't worth it anyway. I did extensive therapy where I realized how I want to earn love. I want to work for it, or it doesn't feel real. I have a boyfriend now for 10 months, and he is a giver like me. It feels weird that he wants nothing from me except my company and attention. It is not a trauma response. You're 100% right. Real friends don't need them all to themselves. I have a male bestie and introduced my boyfriend pretty quickly. We rarely hang just the two of us. We certainly don't feel the need. Why not go on a couples trip? You did the right thing. This is that type of a friendship where one of the two is actually in love with the other. The other one likes the attention and likes to keep that person on the back burner. It is not right. Mongoose Loud has this thought. See, this is good. Because of that severe ending to your previous relationship, you're now prioritizing you and learning quickly and definitively exactly what you won't and don't have to put up with in a relationship. Good job. I don't know. I feel like you may be overreacting, and it just might be your insecurities talking. There's a lot of platonic relationships out there. It does seem sketchy, but you never know. I feel like in the meantime, don't let it get to your head and don't think of it as you're competing with someone else. You and his friend are totally different people. Be confident in the fact that he's chosen to be with you and he rocks your world in bed and no one else. Maybe this is just him being him and it's totally innocent, and it's another learning curve in your relationship. Either way, you should feel okay and safe to talk to him about how you feel. At the same time, try not to lump him in with the people who hurt you. Trust it. Trust him. If things still feel sketchy afterwards, confront him. Do you think OP should be worried? And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We'd hate for you to miss out. If you want to listen to more stories from me, check out our lounge where I feature a larger variety of non-cheating related stories. See you there.